This episode of Planted is brought to you by Pax Labs.
The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Planted with Sara Pine podcast. I'm Sara Pine, your host, and we are back at MJBizCon. And today I have a very special guest, Darren Gleeman, who is the managing partner of MBO Ventures and is also the 2024 Green Market Report Top Financial Advisor. Darren, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. So first question that I like to ask all my guests, what was your first cannabis experience?
My first cannabis experience was, I hate to say it was in junior high school, and I think I was like 14 or 15, and a friend of ours, somehow he got some pot from his sister who was older, and it was myself, him, and these two girls, and we smoked it outside in his backyard, and it was not only my first experience, it was the best experience I've ever had because we were just laughing the entire time. It was amazing. And I hate to say it because I was a kid, but it was really amazing.
I bet you were a precocious kid.
I'm not somewhat precocious, but I think I'm a super kind kid, but with precociousness in there.
Yeah, well, same. I think that part of the stuff, because I was young the first time I tried too, and now what we're seeing with greater access is that kids are like, my mom does that, my uncle does that. It's not as mysterious anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if your parents do it, it's not cool.
No, it's not. It's
not. I know. My kids they're 22. They're twins. They partake sometimes. We've never gotten stoned together.
Yeah.
I live in New York City. So this is about 3 weeks ago. They came home for vacation or something, and we're walking downtown. We're in Soho, and I like to go to cannabis dispensaries. I like to walk in there.
Yeah.
So we walk in together, and they want to buy something. And okay, it's illegal, so they buy it. And then I walk out of the store, and they light up a joint, and they just shove it in my mouth. So I take a hit. They take 2 hits. So then that was the first time I actually got stoned with my kids. Oh, I hope my wife's not listening.
Well, being from New York, how'd you feel about New York being represented in the Biz Bowl today?
Awesome. I'm not really a nationalist for New York, but I didn't even know that until this very second, but I'm still awesome about it.
Yeah. It was
New York.
New York and California were the first 2 states in the Biz Bowl. We kept the competition within the states. We weren't competing as states against one another. But I think it's really something that the 2 coasts were represented this year. And I can't wait to see what happens next year, too.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Next
year I'll be more into it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll place a bet.
There you go.
Ooh, I'm going to take New York and you take California.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's not fair because I'm a judge, so I have an inside track.
All right. So maybe I'll bet your husband. No, that's not fair either.
He knows too much.
That's right. He has inside knowledge, too.
He
I'll
does.
figure it out, and I'll tell you what happens.
40 joints in a week and a half.
Ah.
It was fun.
Nice.
Well, let's dig into it because I'm really excited to geek out with you.
All right.
So would you give us a quick overview of MBO Ventures and what makes your approach unique?
So MBO Ventures is an ESOP investment bank. Okay, what does that mean? That means, bottom line is, we help cannabis firms sell themselves. And it's not only cannabis firms, it's any firm. It just happens I'm focusing on cannabis because it's hugely amazing for cannabis companies. But all we do is we allow a company to sell themselves to their employees via this thing called an ESOP. Forget about the name. If you have a company, right, and you want to sell it, normally you're thinking I can sell to a private equity firm, I can sell to a strategic buyer. Maybe if you're really big, you can go public, right? Or what most people don't realize is you can sell the firm to your employees and it costs them nothing, but you can sell your firm to your employees, right? And the government wants you to sell to your employees. And they've been wanting this about 50 years. They want it so bad because they want to democratize capitalism. Back in the day, in the 1950s, there was a whole thing that the country was, a lot of people wanted to become like a communist country. And so there was communism versus capitalism. So how do we convince people that capitalism is better than communism? Well, if we can democratize it, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So they try to figure out a way, how do we get employees to be part of the system? Well, they're not going to go out and buy a company. So they figured out we're going to try to convince a business to sell to the employees, and the government is going to basically back it. So the government gives a tremendous amount of tax incentives and tax subsidies to convince you to sell the company to the employees. And again, it costs the employees nothing.
Is that the thing that Bob's Red Mill did, that grain company?
Yes, it's exactly what Bob's Red Mill did. And I hate to out Bob's Red Mill. And I'm not outing him because he is actually a really good guy and what they did is really good. But what convinced Bob to do this? Like, he's a great guy. And he really, well, no. There's other reasons why they did it, and I'm about to tell everybody the secret of why he did it, because he had a lot of offers.
Yeah.
A lot of offers.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, but he chose to do this. Well, he made a lot more money by selling to the ESOP than he would have made if he sold to a private equity or a strategic buyer.
Is it because of the tax breaks?
Yes.
Oh.
So shall I tell you about some of the tax breaks that are really the key? And this is
Yeah.
why this is the most important podcast that you're going to listen to?
Please do.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, we all know, I think here, everyone knows what 280E is. Okay, maybe the consumers don't, but do I have to explain what 280E is or not?
You know, our colleagues will give a knowing nod and groan, but our listeners who are from the consumer side may not understand that.
Okay. Every company that touches cannabis in the entire country do not pay taxes like everybody else. They pay a huge amount of taxes because when they get taxed, they're not getting taxed on what's called their net income. They get taxed on another portion. It's called their gross profit. What does that mean? That means when you have a business, you can take deductions, right? It's a real deduction. Like if I have salaries, I shouldn't be taxed on the salaries. That's a deduction.
Yeah.
Or rent or interest. But in the cannabis world, you're taxed. On the cannabis world, you cannot take any deductions at all.
Right.
Okay? Which means that the neighborhood cannabis dispensary around the corner or the large multi-state operator, the tax rate that they're paying is about 60%. So that means if they make $10 million, $6 million of that will go to the government. In the normal world, $4 million will go, or $3.5 million. But in the cannabis world, $6 million or $7 million will go to the government. Crazy, right?
That's twice the taxes.
Twice the taxes. Now, here's the company. Here's the thing with ESOP. If you sell 100% of your company to the ESOP, the government allows your firm to run completely income tax free forever. So now the company pays zero federal income tax forever. The company pays zero state income tax forever. So that company we just talked up before that's making $10 million a year is now paying $0, where before they did the ESOP, they paid $6 million to $7 million in tax, which means they have that much more, it's called free cash flow, that much more free cash flow to do whatever they want with, okay, which is huge and allows companies to actually charge lower prices. It allows companies to pay down debt. It allows companies to survive.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's really huge. You look out right now. Well, actually, the audience can't see this, but go ahead. Sorry.
We have a lot of windows here. But expound on that.
If you look at right now at this is the conference, MJBiz, and I'm standing up and I'm looking right now. It's pretty kind of light.
Yeah.
It's very light, the amount of people. Usually 2 years ago it was 5 times the amount of people.
Yeah.
It's light, and there's not that many vendors as there was. Why? They're going out of business. Do you know why they're going out of business? Because of that tax. Because you cannot survive by paying 60 or 70% in tax rate. So this structure, the ESOP structure, allows these companies to actually survive and also thrive. It is a huge, tremendous benefit for companies to do this. So again, that's what the government does. They want you to do it, so they give you that benefit. And that's just one benefit. Another benefit, capital gains tax. Now, not sexy, but it is. You sell a company in this country. You build up your company, this podcast, and you want to sell your podcast, right? And eventually you sell it, you build it up, you work hard, nonstop. You're working 12 hours a day. You deserve it. And let's say you can build it up to, let's say it's $100 million. Great. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, you have to pay about 30% in tax on that. So even though you sold it for $100 million, you have to pay $30 million to the government. It's called capital gains tax, which is a tremendous amount of money. If you structure it as an ESOP, there's a way to defer that capital gains to make it zero capital gains and structure correctly forever. So you never pay the capital gains tax.
So that's why traditional M&A is not working in cannabis.
Traditional M&A is not working in cannabis for multiple reasons. One of the reasons, there's no money.
Yeah.
There's literally no money at all anymore. So if you want to go out And let's say you start even a small little dispensary somewhere, there's no one going to give you any money. You might be able to give, from your family and friends, right?
Which is what a lot of people do.
That's what you do. You get it from your family and friends, and then you go out and you run your operation. But now if you want to expand, there's no larger companies to go out and give you money. That's why M&A. And plus, the industry itself, for the dispensaries, it depends on state by state, but the more competitors come into your state, right, the lower the price is going to be, the lower the price of the weed is going to be that you're selling it for.
Right.
And, okay, that's great for the consumers until companies go out of business, right? And California is a whole other issue.
January is that time of year that a lot of us are drinking less, but we're still looking for ways to relax, connect, and unwind. One option I really like, especially for dry January, is dry herb cannabis. And PAX makes some of the best dry herb vaporizers out there. What I love about dry herb vaping is that you're not burning the flower. You're gently heating it instead. That means that you actually get to taste the plant, the terpene profile, the nuance, the flavor, just the way the grower intended. It's smoother than smoking, there's no hangover, and it feels like a more mindful, intentional way to enjoy cannabis. It still gives you that ritual at the end of the day, just without the booze. So if you're losing the alcohol this month but not the relaxation, lose the booze, keep the buzz. Go dry, stay high. Learn more about Dry Herb January at PAX.com. PAX products are for adults 21 and older. And just for our listeners, you can use the code PLANET20 for 20% off your purchase at PAX.com, valid through the end of 2026.
Don't get me started.
California is a whole other issue. Okay, so I've got a question for you. How is culture preserved when founders exit through this model?
Oh, well, there's nothing compared to it, right? I mean, if you exit via this ESOP structure, which now, if you've heard it, you understand why you should. Again, it's the tax benefits. And there's other things, right? You can exit, by the way, when you exit today with an ESOP, back to your example, you sell your company.
Yeah.
Well, when you sell your company to the ESOP, you can also get these things called warrants, which is like an option for you as the owner to buy back a chunk of your company in the future at a very, very low price. So you have a second bite at the apple. So I sell today, I can cash out a little bit, right? And then in, let's say, 10 years from now, the industry is going phenomenally well. You build up your company, you can buy back in at a very, very low price. So there's a lot of reasons why people want to do this. Owners. And the whole reason why the government is giving you this juicy benefits, because it really is juicy, is for the culture of the company and the employees. Because at the end of the day, when you sell that company, let's say 10 years from now, and now the employees become these owners also, and you sell the company for $100 million, the company, the employees will end up with a huge chunk of that goes right into their retirement accounts. It's humongous. And in terms of, again, back to the culture, okay, if you're just working as a bud tender in a firm, great. You come in, you go, I don't know, you're making, what, $10 to $20 an hour. It's not that great. If you sell to an ESOP, all of a sudden you're an owner. You think like an owner. And when you realize that, you're going to be coming in earlier. You're going to be more excited. Your employees that are around you are going to become more excited. It is much better because you're nervous. Everyone's nervous about the future. We're humans. We're nervous. So now this just gives you a little bit more security. So in terms of culture, there's nothing like it.
Oh, yeah. When you're buying into something and you know that it's your future instead of working for somebody else, that makes a world of difference. So what size and stage of cannabis business is a good fit for an MBO?
So the size for a company to do an ESOP structure, right? It's pretty big. You would need to make sense. That's the problem here. To make sense, you're talking about $2.5 million in net income, not in revenue. So you're talking about $10 million in revenue to get to $2.5 million in income. Then is when it makes sense, because the process to do this, to sell to these, it's expensive. It's a literal M&A process. It's not like a business broker back and forth. This is a real process where you're looking at investment banking, you're looking at multiple lawyers, you're looking at valuation firms, you're looking at trustees, and everyone needs to get paid. So it's an expensive process. That is the biggest problem with this ESOP structure. It's not for small firms. I mean, if small firms can piece themselves together, like a $500,000 company here, $500,000, they can do that, but that's pretty difficult to do also.
It kind of sounds like they need to be profitable to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. If you're not profitable, it doesn't make sense, right? If you're not profitable, you're not paying any taxes anyway.
Right.
Well, actually, you know what? In the cannabis space,
you're still
paying taxes. Yeah, because it's so ridiculous. But yes, this is for a company that is profitable, has low debt overhead on their, it's low debt on the books. And that looks like it's growing. It's not for a company that is shrinking, and it's not for a company that has no money.
Yeah. Well, okay. And then on that, so are there certain verticals, like for example, cultivation, marketing, retail, that benefit more from this model?
Okay, it's esoteric, but yeah, I mean, I think dispensaries are much better for this model because dispensaries get hit with that 280E that we were talking about before. Because with a cultivation facility, what people do is there's something called cost of goods sold, which you're allowed to take something called cost of goods sold as a deduction. What's a cost of goods sold? Well, if I'm looking at an actual, what is this thing, a mic, right? The mic maybe cost you $50, but to actually produce this mic, there's like foam and there's metal. Maybe that cost is $20. That's the cost of goods sold. You're allowed to do that. You just can't take deductions of salary, rent, interest, marketing types of stuff. But you can actually deduct cost of goods sold. Sorry for being esoteric, everybody. So in cultivation, they've structured it now where everything becomes part of the cost of goods sold, even the labor, right? Because the labor had to plant the seeds and the labor had to like massage the, the cannabis. So whatever it is, that's why for a cultivation firm, it's not as lucrative, but it's still great. There's still no comparison. So in that example before, a $10 million EBITDA, a $10 million net income firm, for it's a dispensary, they're going to pay, let's say, $7 million in income taxes. A cultivation firm will pay, let's say, $4 million, $4.5 million income taxes. So it's great for both firms. It's just much better for the dispensary because they don't have any cost of goods sold really, except for the product. They have a lot of rent. They have a lot of salaries. They have all that other stuff they can't deduct. Right.
And so for founders, how should they start preparing if they want to be ready for this type of exit in like 2 to 3 years?
They just have to be profitable, like we were saying before. They don't have to worry about any type of like restructuring. Any deal you ever do when it comes to like an M&A type of structure, you're always doing restructuring. You're always restructuring. Don't worry about it. What you need to worry about is building your company correctly. That's it. Just worry about, taking your costs, reducing your costs. And if you can increase your revenue, increase your revenue. Most of the problems with most of these companies are, they're not hugely sophisticated. They have huge costs, right? I mean, I've spoken to some of these people. They have, like, they're paying rent for their dispensaries. And the rent comes out to be like 30% of their revenue. That's a bad business model from the very beginning, and they should have, and they didn't know it, but they shouldn't be paying that much. It's kind of crazy. So you can't make a profit there, and people don't really think it. So that's where, again, you go and you get your license, and no one's giving you money, and then you go to your friends and family because you think you have a license to steal, and you don't, because now the cannabis price is not what it was. You go out and you make these dumb mistakes, and you can then go under rapidly. So that's another reason why it's not looking that great, because there's a lot of carnage in this industry.
Oh, there is.
There's a lot of carnage.
And when you're talking rent, I mean, anytime that they know you're a cannabis business, it's way more expensive to rent.
Exactly. They just crush you.
Yeah.
So it's getting in from day one. I can look at a business from day one and say, this is not going to last. And a lot of times in a new state, these companies will last because there's no one else in there. So you have these huge lines coming to your place, and it's great and phenomenal. But once competitors coming in, you're done.
Well, and that's what we saw in California when we went from medicinal to legalization.
Don't get me started. California is the absolute worst, because California is just so ridiculously dumb, because they keep on taxing you so much.
I know.
Where at some point, I'm going to say, screw it. I'm not going to go to your store. I'm going to go to the back door and get it over there. It's the same cannabis. Why not just go over there? And then at some point, the amount of money the state's going to get, it just keeps on getting lower and lower and lower. And if they keep raising taxes, just putting companies out of business, and you're going to the back door to the illegal market.
Well, yeah. And then you're spending a lot of money on enforcement. And that's what we're seeing, because, and I think that's like a major thing with policy. I always tell people, use us as a cautionary tale, because if we'd kept taxes low to begin with, the state would have been making money hand over fist. They wouldn't have put any money in enforcement. But this is also why we need to have better educated people making our decisions around this.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, right? People don't realize this, but we in the cannabis world, and I think most of the cannabis seems to lean kind of left. We're progressive. We're progressives, right?
For the most
For
part.
the most part, we're pretty progressive.
Or liberal.
Or liberal, progressive
Yeah.
and liberal. But then we see what's going on in California with the tax rates. And all of a sudden, when you look at that, I guess it doesn't make sense to just keep on taxing people, because what happens, they just stop doing it,
Yeah.
right? So there's a certain sweet spot with taxes. And if you go too high, you're going to lose. You go too low, you're going to lose. But I think we're learning, and I think as a whole group, it really is a good education. Like, oh, I guess you just can't tax me at a 50% income tax rate.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
No, you can't. You can't. I want to get into some stuff around your financial wisdom and industry perspective.
Okay.
So, what do most cannabis founders misunderstand about valuation and exit planning?
Well, yeah. So most cannabis owners now, I think the larger players, they kind of get it now, meaning this is what's called the perfect marketplace. And in the perfect marketplace where you have a lot of competitors out there, the value of your company is not going to be as much as you thought it was.
Right.
You know, back in 2021, people, they were paying huge valuations, and it's ridiculous. It's kind of like, these are called the bubbles. And what happens is everyone starts chasing that dispensary, and everyone's like, I want to get in, and my mother wanted to, everyone wants to get into the dispensary business, and they start paying more and more money. So where a sole dispensary should be worth, let's say, if it's making $1 million a year, I don't know, one dispensary, maybe you get $3 million, 3 times that, right? That's kind of fair, even that's low. But they were getting like multiples of 10, 12 in the day, which is ridiculous, right? This is not the value. So, and because it's perfect competition, I mean, you got so many people all over the place doing this, the prices of cannabis have dropped and the profits have dropped. So valuations in a cannabis company are more like in the multiples of, when I say multiple, it's like if I make $1 million a year, that's how I'm valuing my business. So I can, based on that. So it's $1 million, maybe it's worth 5 times $1 million, or 5 million. That's a multiple of 5. If I'm making $1 million and I want to sell it for 7 multiples, 7 times $1 million, $7 million. So I think that multiple is more in the range of between multiple of 3 to, let's say, 8.
Okay.
Would be the multiple, a big range. But there's a lot of range of different quality of companies.
What's the biggest financial mistake you see happening over and over?
Oh, geez. The biggest financial mistake, I think what people do is when they borrow money and they get the money, they'll do dumb things with it.
Yeah.
They're not doing it in a clever way. They'll take money and, like I said, they'll get rent for a really bad location. When people are given a lot of money, they kind of do things, they don't really think about it as much. You ever watch Dumb and Dumber? So in Dumb and Dumber, remember they have a suitcase of money?
Yes.
And they start blowing their nose with the money?
Right.
As silly as that sounds, people do that. Like a venture capitalist would come in at the beginning of these industries and they just start funding you. And what do? Well, okay, I have a company. And let's go to the convention center. Okay. And let's get a humongous booth. Well, why am I getting a humongous booth? Well, to be out there, but is this your audience? I'm looking out there right now, and this actually is pretty good right now, right? But if I'm, let's say, targeting, well, maybe it's not that good. If I'm targeting business people, right? And I'm looking at this, and most people here are, let's say, consumers. And then I see something for a pre-roll machine. Well, why are they going to spend $50,000 on a pre-roll machine booth where most of the people are consumers? They don't care about the pre-roll machines. It's a waste of money. So I think that's what people do also. They start having these crazy marketing budgets, and they also do just ridiculous things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. There are some really things. Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes around that.
Yeah.
Now, given your Wall Street background, what advice would you give legacy or small scale operators trying to stay competitive?
For the smaller guys, what makes sense, the most thing here's what it is, they need to combine, and they can't. They can't combine because they're going to get in their own way. Okay, what does that mean? You're making $500,000 a year, and I'm making $500,000 a year, and everybody else is too. Well, when we each individually buy our weed, we're paying, let's just say $1,000 a pound is what we pay. If we join together, we can pay $800 a pound. We get a 20% discount. And we join with more people, we can continually to decrease our amount of money that we're paying, right? To, let's say, $700 a pound. And if we all come together, well, do we need 5 CFOs? No, we need 1 CFO, right? We can cut back people. Now we have all these groups together. I can now negotiate with every single one of my vendors. That's what you do. When you're a company, let's say a larger company, and I come in to buy 10 companies, or I want to restructure, the first thing I'm doing as soon as I restructure is I'm going to go with my pen and pad, and I'm looking at my numbers, and I see my expenses, and I see, oh, we need to make this 8% of marketing budget. Nope, 6% of marketing budget. I have 30 people here. Nope, 20 people here. Make it work. That's what you need to do. So these smaller groups, as a small retailer, you're dead.
Yeah.
You need to merge with other companies. So you need to get out of your own way, swallow some of your pride, and figure out a way how to integrate with other companies. And it's very, very difficult to do it because it comes down to, I think my company is worth 3 times X. And you think your company's, well, I'm worth more. Well, no, you're not. Come to the agreement. And then how do you make decisions? That's another thing. How am I going to make decisions? Figure it out. And if you can actually band together, you will be super successful and be a lot richer than you ever thought you were going to be.
Meet the PR firm amplifying our industry's changemakers, Green Lane Communication. Through strategic media relations, thought leadership, and speaking in award programs, Green Lane Communication has helped companies land coverage in Forbes and Rolling Stone and dominate industry trade outlets like MG Magazine, High Times, MJBiz Daily, and Fat Nugs Magazine. Founders, marketers, innovators, disruptors, Green Lane doesn't just tell your story, they build your legacy. Visit greenlanecommunication.com and make your brand impossible to ignore. Yeah, some of the things that you're saying remind me of my conversation that I had with Terry Mendez from Safe Harbor.
Oh, really?
Because he was talking about that, companies really don't need a lot of their higher C-level at full force, that they could share them.
Totally. You don't need C-suite level people, right? You don't need tons of them at all. But for some
fractional
reason,
is really kind of where it's at these days, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think federal legalization will disrupt the strategies that you're offering or make them more important?
No, federal legalization to me, federal legalization is super far away. And that's going to be amazing when that happens, if it ever happens. Will it help my offering? Yeah, because right now, I think what I've been doing is I've been explaining what ESOPs are for such a long time in our field. And literally, which is weird, in our industry, people know what ESOPs are. Almost everybody does. They've heard of it. In every other industry, I heard of an ESOP. Isn't that like a pension plan? It's like a 401k. They don't really know. In this industry, I've done a good marketing job. People actually know, what it is. So if federal legalization occurs, I think it'd be great, because then what we can do also is finally, everyone can now get money, right? It opens it up. Right now, it's very, very difficult to get money.
Yeah. Do you think that some of the reason that people know about it and are more open to it is because in a lot of states in the beginning, there was a collective model. And so people were already having that conversation.
No, not at all.
No,
it's all me. No,
I love that. I love it.
It's all me. Because, a collective model really has nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that.
It's completely different. And a collective model, and I love collective models. Collective is great. I mean, as a matter of fact, we were talking before combining. If you don't have to actually combine, you can do a collective, and you can do a collective for your revenues, right? Not revenues. So when you buy your actual weed, you can buy it as a collective. That's much better. And then you can now step into the merger. Though you do need to merge everybody, because your standalone store making $500,000 is not in business in 5 years. You're out of business. Sorry to be that guy that tells you that, but you need to merge. You're going to be out of business, and no one's buying your store either. Yeah. If you're making $500,000 a year, no one's buying it.
So we see a lot of larger companies, a lot of the multi-state operators, and listeners, I'm not knocking this, I'm just stating it. We got a lot of pharma bros that are doing stuff that have been investing in pharmaceuticals or coming into the space. What do you think they're getting wrong?
The pharma bros, what are they doing? What are they doing in the space?
Like when there is an MSO, and I'm not going to mention any names, but that ended up purchasing so many businesses that their liquidity went to shit, and they ended up putting a lot of people out of work.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so that's like the standard model. I'm going to go out, and they paid too much money. It's just they overpaid for these assets that were underperforming, right? If I have an asset an asset, if I have a dispensary, right, and then my dispensary is making $10 this year, and then next year's gonna make $9, and then the year after it's gonna be $8, right? So it's declining. But what they were doing is they just want to build up their assets, and so for that company that's declining, that's making $10, they paid $100 for an asset that's paying $10. It's declining. It's too much money.
Yeah.
They were overpaying and getting themselves into more and more debt, and just doing ridiculous. Again, it's back to what we said before. And what they're doing also, if they're public MSOs, they're just trying to build up their revenue stream, not caring about what's going to happen in 3 years from now. In the public markets, the problem with the public markets is it's on a quarterly basis. So I want to show you what's going to happen next quarter, or in 2 quarters or 3 quarters. And I can definitely do that. If I borrow, right now, if you gave me $100 million, I'm going to show you $50 million in revenue next year. And if then my revenue is going to go down, what do? I can buy more stores. So it's kind of like, it's very difficult to just keep on building without buying new stores. So you have to actually buy. So that's what they're doing. And they're putting in too much debt. If this is the real world and the debt was much cheaper, it might work, but debt is so expensive and they were overpaying for these places. So that's really what was going on.
I want to go back to when you were talking about federal legalization, because you and I both know that it's not going to happen for a while. But if and when it does, is this going to disrupt the strategies you're offering, or do you think it'll make them more important?
I think it's much better because we can get a lot more money when you raise the capital. Meaning, if you sell a company, so what I do right now is, let's say a company's make it easy. Let's say it's making $5 million a year, and the value of that company is 5 million times 6, multiple of 6. So the value is $30 million. People would like to take some money off the table right when they do the deal. So that company right now, I could probably raise $10 million in cash at the very, very beginning, to get at the close of the deal. Well, that's not that much money. And the interest rates to get that $10 million is very high in this world. So a lot of people say, you know what? I don't want to do that. Let me just sell the company for $30 million. And then over the next 5 years, I'll just keep on taking money out, right? Remember, you're not going to pay any capital gains on it.
Right.
We discussed that earlier. So if federal legalization occurs, they'll be able to take out, let's say, $15 million on the day that they close, which is a lot of money, and the interest rate will be super, super low. So it makes a lot more sense for them. In terms of my business right now, it's not the federal legalization issue. It's the rescheduling issue. Right now, cannabis is a Schedule I drug, and as a Schedule I drug, you're totally... Can I curse on this?
Yeah.
As a Schedule I drug, you're totally effed. You're totally effed. Is that a bad word? So you're totally effed because you have to pay the 280. It's called the 280E tax. What we're looking at is going to Schedule 3. If it goes to a Schedule 3, that 280E tax goes away. So the question is, if you go from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, what will happen to this cannabis ESOP business? I think it's not going to affect it at all. Yeah. Because, again, what happens is your effective tax rate goes... Remember, right now, the effective tax rate is 60-70%. If 280E goes away, your effective tax rate is 40%. All right, so in that same example, if you have a $10 million company, right now you're paying $6-7 million in tax. If you have a regular normal industry company, your company is paying $4 million in tax. So you're still getting rid of all that tax. And you still have all the other benefits, and you have the warrants and the capital gains. So it really is great. In the real world, I do huge amounts of ESOPs in other industries, right? It's just that cannabis is special because of 280E. And that's what actually makes people think about it. Because when I said to you earlier, before we started this podcast, I said, this is going to be the most important podcast that you're going to hear in the entire week or whatever. And the reason being is I can save companies. If they listen to me and they do this, I will save you, the larger companies. If you do not listen to me and you don't do it, okay, maybe you'll do okay, but you're paying so much money in tax, right? By listening to me, I will remove all your income taxes and make 280E irrelevant. This is the most important podcast that you have if people can actually hear it and listen to it and have gotten this far in the podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Fat Nugs Magazine, a global perspective of cannabis and stoner culture as a bridge to the rest of the world. Right now, you can join Fat Nugs Magazine, Beard Bros Farms, Freedom Grow, and Jailed for Weed in the upcoming Prisoners Edition and help spotlight current and past cannabis prisoners and their stories, because no one should be in jail for a plant. Find Fat Nugs Magazine's beautiful print copies at your local dispensary, fatnugsmag.com, and on socials. Cannabis culture welcomes us all.
You sound like someone who likes puzzles.
Prior that's interesting. Prior to this, I ran a hedge fund, which is all about kind of a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's all about puzzling and finding things out. That's
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's what I used to do.
So I think I know the answer to this, but where does interstate commerce come into play with this?
Well, interstate commerce doesn't exist right now because you can't cross the lines.
Right, but when we can, what do you think?
Oh, well, okay. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to do the same structure as they have for alcohol. Because if you actually allowed cannabis to just flow freely in a free market, what's going to happen is every single cultivation facility in the country is going to go under. You're going to have maybe 4 or 5 large enterprises that are going to be in wherever they can do it best, California, Arizona, wherever it is. Every other cultivation will be out of business, and everyone knows that. So that valuation drops to 0. The manufacturers, right? The manufacturing, right now, the actual liquid that you put in. So when you you actually take a hit from a vape, right? There's that that golden liquid, whatever that's there. That will all be done in Nebraska because it's just like corn. Taking the corn and restructuring. Same thing with the cannabis. And that, by the way, when you're taking the vape, that's all like the fragments. It's not really the good parts of the cannabis plant. So that'll all drop to about a penny per gram. So a lot of these manufacturing firms, I don't know what's going to happen to them. That it'll be probably that'll go under also. It'll be more brand focused. Right now, there are no huge brands that anybody really knows. Right now, when people go, they're going to go shopping. They go the closest place, and that's where they go. They don't want to go an extra mile because there's some brand. They don't do that. They just want to go. Their location is super, 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 super important for you people that are trying to do this. Location is everything.
Yeah,
and parking.
Oh.
You need parking.
Yeah, I'm from San Francisco. I know all about parking. Well, you do too.
Yeah, you need parking. You need parking.
So looking ahead, what's next for MBO Ventures?
I think next year, 2026, is going to be a phenomenal year for us. We already have a lot of these companies that want to do it. And I think in 2026, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see some of these public companies doing an ESOP. I mean, that's a very esoteric structure, so I'm not going to get into it, but they can do it.
That's fascinating. And are you working with any cannabis operators right now that you're especially excited about? And of course, names are not required because I do understand. Right.
So we have, I'm all NDA'd up for the current companies I'm working with right now. They're super huge companies. They're great companies in the industries that they're in. Some are single state operators, and some are multi-state operators, but they are really good. And they just, the difference between like some of these multi-state operators, they're much better.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Think about it. If I want to go out and start a dispensary chain, I know nothing. Most likely, I don't know, maybe it'll work, maybe it's not. The larger companies, they're started by like people who have been in the retail business and they've operated, let's say, 100 grocery stores. They've operated 95, Starbucks chain. They know what they're doing. Those guys, that's who you invest in actually. So when you look at investing in a company, and I'm not a VC, venture capitalist, I'm not a VC, but if I'm going to look at investing, I don't care about the company really. I care about you as the individual. Did you do this before? How good are you going to be? So you're really investing in the jockey, not the horse.
Yeah.
That's super important if you want to be successful. So again, when people are going out there, like I spoke to people, everyone's looking for money. Okay, and that's not what I do. I'm not giving out the money, but I'm always okay. Well, let me see your deck.
Yeah,
and it's pretty horrible decks that some people have. It's just like they're horrible, right? And then this is a big thing. I've been in weed now for 15 years. Okay, what'd you do? They think because they've been in weed somehow that now they're the best. They can run an operation with 300 people.
Oh no,
no, you cannot run an operation with 300 people. You don't know how to do that. Maybe you can, but I'm not willing to test that, right? You can own a company and then you hire someone that can actually manage 300 people. And then you as that entrepreneur can move and grow into that spot. And maybe one day you can then manage 300 people. But it's a different organization.
Yeah, well, you have to bridge that gap because there's a big difference with understanding cannabis and understanding business. And somewhere in the middle, they both meet.
That's right. And the thing is with the problem, again, with cannabis is it's all about the license. So you have people that get these licenses and I got the license. And that's like their lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the lottery ticket anymore. Because you have to now run the company. Just because you have that license doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. So what trends are you watching going into 2026?
Here I'll give you a trend. I think Well, I think not a great trend in cannabis. I don't think it's a really good trend. I think for the consumers, it could be pretty good because I think prices are coming down. I think the trend for businesses, I think, is going to a lot of comeuppance this year. I think it's not going to be great for a lot of companies. I think, I know we all talk about that debt overload, but that debt overload is really for the largest, let's say 10 companies. For the smaller guys, I just think there's more competition coming in. And every year there's more competition coming in. I think this year's going to be a lot. So I think you're going to see a lot more carnage. I think we're not going to be rescheduled to Schedule 3 at all. I think if Trump does decide to reschedule, I think it's going to be Schedule 2, which I'm the only person to say that because that's kind of crazy. But I think he might go Schedule 2.
Huh.
Yeah. And if you go Schedule 2, that just means that, because he said it, Schedule 2 means there's possibly and probably some medical viability to this. There's some reasons to do it. But it's not enough to go Schedule 3, which means that 280E tax still exists.
Somebody better have some big pockets to give to him because he doesn't care one way or another. He just wants to get paid.
He doesn't care at all. He has a lot of issues he's dealing with right now.
Yeah.
The last thing that anybody cares about, except for everybody here in this room, we care about cannabis. Donald Trump does not care about cannabis, and no one else does, unless the lobbying firm is going out there and telling you to care. Other than that, it's just not a big issue. And I think with Trump, he's getting so much money in every other industry for every other thing. I don't think they really care that much about cannabis. And if someone's going to give him $1 million or $2 million, no, that's not going to push it one way or the other. If it's a close race in the midterms and, somehow they do some type of poll and figure, well, if he goes to Schedule 2 at that point, then we can push it over. And by the way, the reason why he'll go Schedule 2, not Schedule 3, what I'm thinking, us as the industry are like, what does that mean? That's ridiculous to go Schedule 2.
Right.
Well, but he doesn't care, and he doesn't know, because the world will hear, oh, we went Schedule 2. We're finally getting legal. Now it's legal. So the consumers will have no idea. Nobody has any clue except for maybe 4,000 people understand what 280E is. Not even 4,000, maybe 400 people know what 280E is. So that he went from Schedule 1 to Schedule 2 versus Schedule 3, no one has any idea. All we know is he actually moved.
Yeah.
He moved. So
there you go.
There you go. As ridiculous that is.
What are you excited about?
What am I excited about in terms of the industry?
Yeah.
I am excited by the people in the industry. I think the energy is still there. When I speak to people, who really understand the plant, like I've never seen another industry where people really are loving it and they understand it. And I was talking to some guy, he stopped me. I was in a panel, and afterwards, like, I want your opinion on this. I'm trying to raise money, and I'm listening to him. And as he's talking, I'm like, yeah, this is the guy that can actually become a humongous CEO. I mean, he was just so passionate about the terpenes and this. And he wrote these books. He shows me these textbooks that he wrote. I mean, the passion in the industry is pretty amazing. So I'm definitely excited by that.
It's
pretty cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. And when we all get in a room together for several rooms during the week, it's recharging because it's like, okay.
Yeah.
We've still got stuff going on.
Yeah, it's very positive.
Yeah. So any advice to cannabis founders currently feeling discouraged about their financial future?
In any business, when you're in business, right? You're in business, you have major ups and you have major downs, and probably a lot more downs than ups. And you get kicked in the head nonstop, and you get depressed, and then you get happy, and then you get depressed again. It's like you have your ship, and, if you just keep on going and keep on going straight, get through those lows, and if you just work harder, you will eventually come out the other side. Now, does that mean you're going to be successful in that specific business that you have? No, you might go under. Right? You might, but that's okay, because as you keep moving forward, you're going to become more passionate. You're going to learn a lot more. And when that does fail, if it does fail, all right, the good thing about that is you are now forced to open another door, and you've just learned so much more. And now you're going to keep going. And as long as you work hard and you stay directional, you will definitely 100%, I'm sure of it, succeed. You just need to keep on going and going, but you will definitely succeed. Just don't stop.
And if people want to learn more, how do they get a hold of you?
So I guess the best way, if you're this far along in the podcast, the best way, my name is Darren Gleeman. So go to LinkedIn. That's the easiest way, and just find it. Don't worry about spelling it, because you'll figure it. Darren Gleeman, Darren Gleeman, and then just send me a text message on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way, as opposed to giving you my phone number. Just go there and figure it out.
Awesome. Darren, this has been so educational for me. Like, I know a lot of stuff about cannabis, but I had to do my homework to hang out with you today, and it's been really fun and really interesting. So thanks for spending time with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
You too.
And everyone, remember, if you like listening, please give us a review, share it with a friend. Let us know what your favorite episodes are. And if you'd like to stay in touch over social media, we are Planted with Sara Pion on Facebook and Planted with Sara on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website, www.plantedwithsara.com, or listen to us on our parent network, Radio Misfits Network, where there are other great podcasts, like one of my favorites, the Winemakers Podcast. So check it out. You can listen to Planted wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, whether that's Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher. Tune in. We are there. So join us. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, it's a wild world out there. Be good to one another. Until next time, take care.